Yeah. Wow, man. So, dude, so much has happened since you've been on the show last. And this is I've said this a few times this weekend. Like I've loved having repeat guests on because it's so fun to catch up. Like we've gone through like the whole intro spiel, like what you do. So go back and check out Mike's other show if you haven't. It's one of the best shows. I mean, we get pretty hyped.
We had a good time.
We turned you out, man. You shared a lot of things on that show that you'd never shared before, and I was really honored to have had you on the show, man. It was awesome.
Thank you.
So thanks for hanging out again.
Dude, well, my experience of you, Connor, man, I mean, I haven't been on a tremendous amount of podcasts, but of all the podcasts I've been on, like the space that you create and the space that you hold, like it's amazing, to have that space and to know, like, that's why it's 8:30 in the morning. We're a little tired, but I'm so excited to be here because it's just like, I just get to, not that I don't get to be me with other people, but the space that you create is really something special. So thank
Thanks,
you.
man. I appreciate that, dude. And so what's been going on over the past, it's been about 6 months now. Like I've seen you traveling around a lot. You're demoing some awesome equipment, like doing some ceremonies. Like you've got a lot going on, brother. What's really getting you hyped up right now? What are you excited about?
Right now, honestly, I think in the month of March, I was only home for 2 days. So I've been traveling quite a bit. It's pretty much been every single weekend, either taking a course or teaching some type of workshop somewhere, or also preparing and participating in some ceremonies. So I would say like the thing I'm most excited about is just to, since I talked to you last, it was just a few months after I kind of taken the full dive into doing what I love. And
Yeah.
so I'm doing it, man. And it's scary. It's scary, but it's super exciting. And the people that I'm meeting has just been incredible. The other thing that I've been doing more often is teaching more classes. So, like even I was here yesterday at PaleoFX teaching an introduction to kettlebell sport workshop. And one of the things that I've realized is as I've been teaching more and more, whether it's classes at home or at PaleoFX, the lesson that I got just teaching yesterday was, I think as coaches, when you were teaching CrossFit classes,
Yeah, that's coaching, yeah.
yeah. So maybe you've had the same experience as me, but we want the very best for who we're teaching, and so a lot of times we want to coddle the people that we're working with, and I just like want to handhold them and just baby them, like, oh, I'm going to take you step by step by step by step. And one of the things that I'm learning is I have to be okay with people fucking up. I have to be okay with, things are not going to be perfect. And, the response to yesterday's workshop was really good. So I was super happy. And the thing that means the most to me is that people are enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
But as I was going through kind of like the developmental sequence of exercises leading into the clean and jerk, which is the movement I was teaching yesterday, you look around and it's, you have to get a felt sense for how the group's doing in terms of like who's getting it, who's not getting it. And if most of the group is getting it, you have to move on.
Yeah.
You have to go to the next thing. And I think in the past, one of the things that I really struggled with is just like, oh, I want to just like hold everyone and carry them through all the way.
No child gets left behind.
No child gets left behind. And,
That worked out really well.
So, yeah, so I'm enjoying just the learning lesson of getting out, teaching in front of different people. Depending on what the workshop is, the intent, it's cool because like, as we were talking last time, most people that I gravitate to are athletes.
Yeah.
But in one specific topic of workshop that I teach or classes I teach is ELDOA. Have we gone over that? I think
No, what is that?
So ELDOA is a French acronym. It stands for the translation is LOADS, longitudinal osteoarticular decoaptation stretching.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I usually preface that with don't even just get the felt experience of what
It's
it is.
sexy. I mean, I'm into it, but it's a lot.
Well, it was a system of essentially active decompression, stretching, and or strengthening. It was developed by a French osteopath named Dr. Guy Voyer.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Guy Voyer is a badass. He is a osteopath, runs an osteopathic school in Canada, is a licensed is a medical doctor, is an orthopedic surgeon. I believe he also has his PhD in it. This dude's lived like 5 lives in
He's one of those guys. You're like, how'd you do all that?
How did you? And he was also a judo Olympian for France.
Oh, no big deal.
Yeah. So it's very cool because the lens that he brings, whatever he instructs, is it. He could, depending on what the question is or whatever the topic is, he'll come at it through. Let's say it's a serious injury. He'll come at it through the lens of a medical doctor. Or if it's the case of nutrition, he's also got some high-level degree in nutrition. He can, offer that, piece of insight. But he essentially developed ELDOAs, which are essentially, you could think of them as postures, right? Almost let's say like yoga postures, but very different.
Okay.
And there's a specific elbow or decompression strengthening stretch for every single joint in the body. So every single articulation of the spine, L5, S1, T6, T7, you name it, every single joint has an eldoa. And in 1 minute, you can get an active decompression to open the space, to improve joint mechanics, to improve circulation, to improve hydration of discs. So you can get incredibly specific to depending on whatever
Wow.
that person needs. And so the people that are attracted to that, even though it's very much has its place for high performance, it's, I would say, most well known in the rehabilitative realm,
Yeah, makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
So the people that are coming, and I've been just, I've been studying, I first started using the eldoas to help my own athletic endeavors and to kind of help me rehab from some injuries. But the people that are most attracted to it are the people seeking, help from injury. So as I started first using them as, I would say, like as a client working with a practitioner, I was like, man, these things fucking work. These things are amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
And I also, I'd love to share later, like how I use them in floating as well,
yeah.
because you can just get an opening effect that's just
The
incredible.
decompression of floating. Yeah, we'll go into that for sure. 'Cause you have some stories to tell there.
But so I started as a client, and then, I started taking, because the results were really just amazing. I wanted to share it with more people. So I started taking courses and classes. And so it's been almost like 2.5+ years that I've been taking certifications in the Eldoa curriculum. And, back at home, I was like, I want to practice this. I want to share this with more people. And so pretty much I'm so grateful. Most all the classes I've been taking have been pretty much sold out because not too many people are offering it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so, so powerful because in one posture, 1 minute a day, you can get an incredible change. And most all the people coming are coming off of surgery, are coming in like, they're writing me emails. Hey, I just got out of surgery. Is this class right for me? Is it too hard? What can I do? And so normally, especially the elderly population.
Yeah.
So, quote unquote, the elderly populations. No,
You're only as young as you feel.
You're
Bro.
only as long as you
or
feel.
old as you feel. Whatever. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm like 75 years old. I'm like, I gotta get my shit together.
You gotta start moving.
Get some sleep.
Get some sleep. But it's been so cool. I've never worked with that population before. And
Yeah.
so it was really challenging at first. But the chiropractic clinic that I'm working at, actually Dr. Brink, he did a program with Mind Pump.
Yeah, yeah.
Super cool guy. And he was like, he said something. I was like, I'm struggling. Like, I don't know how to, it's not a population I normally work with. He's like, well, you better get used to it real soon because if you have an athlete who's injured, you have to learn all the regressions to all these movements and you got to learn how to play, use it with them as well. So I've been just enjoying actually having something that I can really work with this population, and they've been so amazing. The students have been so grateful, and they've been noticing changes. So,
Well, you found something that resonates with that group of people too, which is really fun because I think a lot of us as if you come from the fitness space or really in I feel like any space almost, it's like whether if you're coaching business, it's like you always end up with these like you gravitate towards high performers. You're like, I want to be involved with like the best of the best and teach the best how to be even more the best. It's like, all right, cool. And it's fun. I coached a lot of athletes back in the day, and it was funny because it was the difference between them and like the 45-year-old soccer moms. Like I really started to enjoy coaching and being a part of the soccer mom's life more than the athletes, because the athletes were just like using me essentially to get as good as they thought they should be. Right? Like I'm just giving them information to make them as good as they thought they should be. And then with these other people, this like general population, I really started to love the fact that I could help them get to a place where they were capable of things they never thought they'd be capable of before. Like they never even had that they had no context on doing like a strict pull up as a grown adult woman. Like that's really cool. And they would have like emotional breakdowns in these huge moments. And like that actually matters more to me than somebody sitting on a podium, which then turned into what I do now. And it was like, well, what's the best way for me to communicate that? And how does that all work? It becomes a fun game of resonating with people. And understanding what your actual gifts are and how you can bring those to a conversation and how you can teach. Like teaching is a funny thing, and I kind of want to go back to what you're talking about not wanting to leave people behind in teaching. And I think sometimes with that it's interesting because you don't want to leave people behind, right? Especially if you're showing somebody something. But I think a lot of that has to do with faith and their ability to figure it out. As long as you're very confident in that you're giving them all the information and that you can, right? Like there's going to be a skill gap in life anywhere, right? And things are going to get sorted. It's kind of how
Mm.
it goes, and it's challenging to like just keep going and let somebody struggle with it. But I don't know. It's this weird balance of knowing that I've got you, but you've got to kind of play with this yourself, you know. And we got to go for the good of the whole here. It's fun. It's a funny game to play. And with when general population, it's much different because then you have all these varied skill levels all together. It's fun.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think with general population, a lot of them, again, this is really my first experience working, I would say, this in depth with general pop, and a lot of them just want to feel better.
Yeah.
And it might sound crazy, but like there was such a disconnect at first for me, even though a lot of what I do is more holistic based, strength and conditioning coaching. But you're exactly right. Most of the people I'm working with, like when they come to me, the door they're walking into is I've got this competition in X amount of weeks. How do
Yeah.
we program? And then I kind of sprinkle in, maybe some diet and lifestyle stuff, some mental strategies, meditation, whatever it is that they're open for at that moment. But with general populations, it's like these guys just want to play a round of golf on the weekend,
Yeah.
or just want to feel better. Go for a walk with their kids, and it's been hard for me to connect with that. But it's I've really been enjoying it.
Well, what's astounding to me, I love that you said that, is like there's so many fucking people in the world that just want to feel better. Like I just want to feel a little better. Like, and I don't know. This is where it gets funny, and we're in this like personal development realm, right? Like I can't find a way of saying what I do without sounding like a douche. Like, it's so funny. I'm like it's a self help podcast, and I'm like, God damn, like,
Dude, you're one of those guys.
I'm one of those guys, you know. And I'm like, I'm not a life coach, whatever. But it's like at the end of the day, it comes down to people just want to feel better and like live a full life, and they have to be communicated with people. You need to communicate with people in a language they understand is really, really important. But there's an overwhelming number of people that want to like genuinely want to do something to improve their life, and they don't know what to do. Like that's so many things. And that could be fitness, that's lifestyle, that's like mindfulness practices, that's like hot and cold therapy. It's like I don't know, do I go to a sauna, do I get an ice bath? Like there's so many things that you could do, and the stimulation it's like this. You're mentally overworked, anyways. You're having like decision fatigue on how to make your life better, and then you do one thing and you don't do the other thing. So then you think that you're like not good enough at the other thing because you chose option A instead of option B, and then you're comparing yourself against something that you don't do, and it's like the weirdest like cycle of finding yourself lost like competition with no one that you can't win. It's like, damn, dude, you just got to be able to go do your things, take all you can from them, and then and not and understand that the nature of life is that you have to sacrifice things and give things up to have other things. You just can't have all of it at the same time. Well, I don't know what that quote is. It's like you can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. That's the thing. Like you can't. You know what I mean? You can't only spin so many plates. And it's funny, man. But that's like the most beautiful part of life. It's like, oh man, I have to give this. I have to give something up to get the other thing. And where does that line get drawn? It's super interesting.
One of the things you bring up for me is just the idea that, I was thinking about this as I've been working with these classes, and even yesterday at the workshop. It's like, we hear about the importance of failing, right? And I really do feel like the key to success is failure.
Yeah.
And so I think as coaches, like part of this route that we're supporting people and navigating is, guiding them through, a process of failures. And so when I was teaching at some of these classes, like before I would have gone, definitely you want to be safe, you want to make sure everyone's safe, etc.
Yeah.
But within the realm of safety, it's like, now I'm very upfront with people, and like for example, the Aldoa class, they're hard postures. Like anyone, like I was just in Florida teaching a kettlebell workshop, and then followed by an Aldoa workshop. And I'll tell you, hands down, every single CrossFit owner and CrossFit coach that was in there will hands down 100% say the Aldoa workshop trumped the kettlebell workshop in toughness.
For sure.
And,
For sure.
And I'll tell people, like, it's hard. You will work. You're going to go to that place, and that's okay. And I think whether they've been okay with it is one thing, but also me being okay with seeing someone fail has been a whole nother thing. And just like allowing that to happen, their own, failure within the construct of what we're teaching.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, like that's It's been an amazing experience for me as a coach to witness that, be okay with that, and just let people have their own experience and don't attach anything to it.
Dude, that when you said that, let people have their own experience. That's so important. That's so important if you're going to be in any position of influence. It's like you got to let the people have their own experience, and share that experience. And I think I see so much when it comes to whether it could be this seriously is like developing a mindfulness practice or how you express yourself in the gym. It's like putting yourself into a place where you can fail in a controlled environment is really
Yep.
important, where you have to work for something that you might not get. And that's really a part of my life that I'm so glad I had, where it's like I get to pull on a barbell for years, and a lot of times I missed, and then had to get better and change a little thing, and that mentality has been really, it served me very well. And I think when you get into things like like different postures and movement practices, it's the same deal. It's a different style, it's a different flavor, but there's something to be said about putting yourself in really uncomfortable positions that are challenging for you and just sitting in them in a controlled environment, because life's going to give you that shit. Like, that's just going to happen. But if you can control the environment and practice the routine of challenging yourself, well, then you have some resilience, and resilience is extremely important because the world's a fucking crazy place. You know, it's fun. I'm sure that you see that so often with people. It's like how much is that mindset of be uncomfortable, challenge yourself, be willing to fail, know you're going to fail going into something, and try it hard as fuck anyways. And sometimes you figure it out. That's the funny thing, is like sometimes you go into something and be like, I don't think I'm going to get through this, but you just do it 100% and you figure it out. Like, how much has that mentality shaped your life?
I think it's been a huge part. It's been a huge part, and I think right now, whether it's been a part of me most all my life through athletics, but at least right now, it's probably one part that at least I'm most aware of.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's been a huge part. I think.
And I think in the kettlebell realm, like the kettlebell sport realm, like that seems like one of the most physically taxing events of all time. Like, so long cycle, like snatch and clean and jerk, right? Is that how that works? Like, explain that to me a little bit.
Yeah, so long cycle is 2 kettlebells clean and jerk for 10 minutes, unbroken. You can't set the weight down.
That's the longest 10 minutes ever.
Your rest is at the chest level or at the overhead position. So
Yeah.
there's really no rest. You can't rest when you're like the bells are by your side.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there. I mean, even in that, that's like my event in terms of what I've really gravitated towards in the last
Yeah.
like 9 or so years. And for 4 of those years or so, due to injury that no one could figure out, every single time, like I would come within 1, 2, 3 reps of the highest rank in the sport, and I would always quote unquote fail.
Yeah.
Always quote unquote fail. And literally, I would sign up for even though you were optimistic and you'd always tell yourself these stories, it's going to be different this time. It's going to be different this time. It's like there was always a part of me. I'm just like, well, shit, like, I'm spending 6 months training again, strict on the diet, doing dotting all my I's, crossing all my T's, all these things that we do as athletes. And what happens if you fail? And so even with that knowledge, looking back now, it's like, why did I keep signing up? Why did I keep signing up knowing that I didn't have resolution of these issues? And even to this day, even, whether it's being here at PaleoFX or other things, you still always get that nervous feeling of like, this could go really wrong. This could be, this is a risk. This is a risk, but it's a risk I'm willing to take, because it's like, as soon as you're aware of that fear, it's like, you have to do it.
Yeah.
If you have to do it to step forward and to grow more and to keep improving. And so that's, I think, the theme at which I always attach myself. It's like, it was being expressed through kettlebell sport.
Yeah.
But the overriding theme, or the root foundation of that, was just a desire just to improve and to grow and to learn and to share and to connect with those around who are going through the same miserable 10 minutes as you're going through. It's like, if you watch a kettlebell sport competition, I love kettlebell sports, like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
So
it's the most boring thing ever.
Yeah, let's just get it
But
out
it's
there.
very impressive also. I mean, that's one of the tests that we used to do, was the 10-minute assault bike or airdyne test, right? So max calories on an assault bike or an airdynes, which is basically a fan bike that if you aren't in the fitness world, like your grandma probably has one at her house randomly. They're so weird.
A Schwinn.
Yeah,
Schwinn
Schwinn
like
airdyne.
1970
I was
Schwinn
a gangster.
airdyne.
I was all about the airdynes before the assault bikes came out. I'm an OG. But it was 10 minutes max. It's the most boring thing you'll ever watch anybody do. But if you're doing it, it's the most miserable thing of all time, because you just have to hold on. It's like, just fucking hold on, dude. Just keep doing the thing, like set your pace and hold on. And then 6 minutes in, it's like, holy shit, I have a long way to go, and this sucks already. And then as you get done, you just lay on the ground, and it's over with. but you're trying to get to this, and you're watching. It's like these sports are so impactful, and I'd say the same thing about training now. And on the last show, we talked about the idea of working out as a gateway to working in, and that's how it worked for me, 100%. It was like if you're looking at a rower or an airdyne, or you're on a pace, if you have you have something like keeping track of what you're doing and how you're presenting yourself to your fitness. Like it's hilarious to see how much that affects the way you perform, and being able to like control your breath and be very present, and then just again like just hold on is very, very valuable to you. And then you can take that into life so easily. Like it is your form of expression in fitness and in the gym and in that realm has says so much about the kind of person that you are. Like if you're the kind of person who'll ease up on the last 5 meters of a 2K row because the fan will keep spinning and you don't have to pull that last time, it's like that's not wrong. You're not wrong, but you're not a hard ass either. You know what I'm saying? It's like this says something, right? Every little thing like that. It's like are you? And that's one thing I've really gotten diligent about getting back into training again, because I woke up in like some kind of pain for years, right? Years of training. And I was like, man, I gotta fucking check out of this for a while. And I've just gotten back to him in the gym, and it's like the biggest thing for me isn't that my fucking program is because I was so dialed in, or that whatever. Like none of the details and the minutia are really that important to me. What I care about when I go in there is that I draw something on the fucking board, I make a plan for that day, and I finish it. Whatever the fuck I put up there, I finish it. And sometimes, and I tend to put too much shit up there, but I fucking do it. And it's like, well, at least I finished it. I'm done. I can learn and go to the next thing. And that's simple. Like, what's the risk there? There's not a ton. And then when I get into a situation like you're talking about, where there's risk involved, like real risk, real life risk, I've practiced. I've done the reps to be like, okay, now there's something on the table. There's some risk. There's something at stake here. So I've got to fucking stand up for myself. Okay, cool. I can do that because I've been practicing for every time I got a chance for the past, I don't know, couple decades.
You can pivot.
And then it's no big deal because those things all carry over. I think the compartmentalization of life really leaves people missing something. It's like, oh, it's the gym, oh, it's work, oh, it's my relationship, oh, it's my friend group, it's this, it's that, it's like my social life, and it's like, dude, that's not the way this shit works. That's an illusion. Like it's all one thing. It's all one big thing that is your life, and to separate them out into these subcategories is almost limiting in a way, to me, anyways. I see it as it's all they have this. It's a Venn diagram maybe, but really it just looks like a circle to me. Yeah, man, it's a trip to think about how those things all play together, and it's just you, and that's the thing with expression, and that's such a big part of my message is like if you can fully express yourself into the world and do the work on the inside to figure out what that actually means to you, and if you understand that really the way you perceive the world is a reflection of you, well then your self-expression becomes very important. If you can understand that like your perception is your reflection, well then the way you show up is super important. It's the most important way, and that's then we talk about being fulfilled and living a fulfilling life. It's like, well, fuck, man, that means you got to bring your full self to your real full self, not the one that you should be or you're supposed to be or that somebody else's expectations created for you, to the world, and then let the world show you that the response of that.
And I think too, like one of the things you bring up for me right there is just, you being you allows people the permission to be themselves.
Fuck
and I
yes.
think, it's when I see some of the people that inspire me the most, whether it's at this conference or wherever that I'm teaching, it's like, it's those people who are willing to be themselves, even when it makes them look stupid, vulnerable. It's like what I'm attracted to, honestly, like we've had this discussion before, like for me, a strong man is a vulnerable man. And so those people, even my closest friends, and why I like jive with you so much is like, we applaud vulnerability, and it doesn't have to be. In fact, I think it makes us stronger. I know it makes us stronger.
Yeah.
Because it's those things that we're, most afraid of when we shy away from that. I think, when we bundle up or try and create these facades or these barriers, it's not making us any stronger. It's just making a wall that's more fragile.
Yeah.
But if we can really set a foundation through of honesty, of hard work, of perseverance, of dedication, of effort, all the themes that we were talking, that we learned in athletics, they'll carry over into every aspect of our life. Mm-hmm. And one of the other things as it relates to athletics, what you were saying is, I was thinking about like, let's take the perfect athlete, quote unquote, the perfect athlete who's been training, with, let's take Rocky Four. You remember Rocky?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So Ivan Drago, right? All the perfect plans.
yeah.
The doctors, the team coaches, the athletic trainers, everyone. And then you have Rocky, who's just running the streets in his Chuck Taylors, and it's like there's something to be said about just putting in the work. And a lot of
Mhm.
times it's not the most, and oftentimes it is not the most carefully periodized program and all that. It's just, are you willing to dig in, do the work, and go forward? And then hopefully, if there was a mistake made, learn from that mistake,
Mhm.
because it's only a lesson if you learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not if, it's when. Like it's when when the mistakes happen. Honestly, with that like these young guys I'll talk to, they're like 21, 22. They're coming out into this like entrepreneurial space, which is something that they've been told they should do their whole life, right? So I look at it through that lens, and I'm like, man, you got a lot of fuck ups ahead of you. You need to fucking you need to like just know that it's okay, it's good because it's gonna happen. Like you're super arrogant right now, and that's gonna no,
That's good. That's
and no,
good.
like your ideas are cute and it's good, but you got a long way to go. Like you're probably not going to be the Snapchat CEO at 24, but maybe those outliers are out there, dude. It's funny, man. It's funny to be able to fail fast like that is so crucial. But then getting in the middle of it, I mean, we both are in this place where we're really doing what we love and trying to make a living doing that. How does that feel? Like it's something that I've really started to get. If I could say I have like my own like self awareness and like mindfulness practice, it's a lot of it gets spent on how it feels to be doing what I'm doing right now. Like I'm getting really present to that. Like what does that feel like for you to be out doing what you love?
Inside, it feels amazing. It feels liberating. It feels freeing. It feels like I'm finally doing what I was here to do. Because always when I was in, another line of work, there was always a gut feeling that I was like, this is not what I'm here to do. And that was in a different industry, the marble and granite industry. And I was like, this is just not me. It's not that it's bad work. It's not that the job is bad. It's just not me, and I'm not doing what I was here to do. But I will say, like right now, it feels amazing, and with that amazing feeling comes resistance. Because
Yep.
anytime I know you're doing you, you're going to get resistance from even sometimes the people most closest to you, and that's honestly been a huge challenge for me, is navigating that road with respect, with honor, but still honoring myself. And I think it's the departure from whether it's our parents' values, society's values, religion's values, and really honoring our own. That's really where I'm at right now. So inside, I'm incredibly happy. I know I'm doing what I'm here to do. And sometimes, the road takes us where we don't think it's going to take us, but resistance, I think, comes with the territory.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about how you recognize what is resistance and what's not, right? So there's feedback, right? There's feedback from the world that's not necessarily fun to deal with, but is true. I would say has a truth to it. And then there's like this resistance piece, which is almost like this. They kind of look the same, but they're a little different flavor. You know what I'm talking about? So like, can you share like how do you bring awareness to the fact that something's truly just this resistance that you must overcome, that you need to lean into?
I think first and foremost, at a subtle level, it's really a gut feeling for me, at least for me personally. So it's the gut feeling of, how things just deep down. What is that root feeling in the base of your belly when you're not thinking with your head and you just sit with what the situation is or what's
Mm,
going on? If you're quiet enough to feel that, and that's where for me, like floating sensory deprivation tanks, that whole therapy has been so healing for me, on so many levels, because it's a forced quiet space when there's no distraction of anything around. And so a lot of my processing, a lot of my, I would say, quote unquote, dedicated feeling time happens in the tank. So that at a subtle level for me, it's the gut feeling. But then at a more overt level or more obvious level, there's certain people who aren't in my life anymore, or there's certain people who have verbalized straight to my face, you're a disappointment. I don't want you here. Certain,
wow, man.
there's
Okay, yeah,
so, that's tough. So
yeah.
sometimes it's obvious. Some people disappear, um, but at a subtle level, you just have to go with your gut and just know that it's going to be okay, and to trust, and just stay the course, man, because it's just like that lifting. It's the
Yeah.
same. The theme is the exact same. If you can just get through, and take back to that 10-minute sport example or the aerodyne example, it's like the first minute always F with you. For
Yeah.
me, at least, the first minute's like, oh my God, like
You
like
have a lot of thoughts.
you
Like your
got a lot of
mind's in a lot of
you,
places.
exactly.
Yeah.
But if you can get past at least the halfway point, then you know you're down the mountain. And then if you can get to the 7 minute mark, from 7 minute to 10 minute, you know you got it. You
Yeah.
know the only thing holding you back is not the physical, it's
Yeah.
the mental.
And just like in life when you're in some kind of deep into some project, the best fucking part of those real like strenuous grinding kind of events is that last like when you know when you have a kick. The kick is the best part, and if you
Yeah.
don't know what the kick is, like that's when you speed up at the very end.
Yeah.
Because then at the very end, you're like, okay, I've got 90 seconds left, and I did the work, I paced myself, I held on for this long, and now I've only got this long left, and I can actually pick it up right now. I think it's a Prefontaine talked about this all the time. He's the one that titled it the kick, and it was like you just have this, and that's when you go. And I would always like I used to love that was like one of my favorite things, and especially when you're rowing or air diving in a competition setting with other people. It's like yeah, they think that we're close, but like I got a kick, and they don't have a kick because I've done it thousands of fucking times, like millions of meters on this damn machine, like just miserable by myself when everybody else was doing something else. I was here doing the thing, and it's damn, it's such a good feeling.
And then your energy starts surging, your confidence starts going up, then you're like, and then once you hit that mark, then the celebration happens.
Yep.
And it's like, fuck, there's so many parallels in life where you can just last, just
Yeah.
get through the shit. Then like what's on the other side is so much more beautiful. Um,
Exactly, dude. Exactly. And so something that you said there is like going with your gut, right? Going with your gut is such an important skill. It is a skill. It's a skill that needs to be developed. And there are certain practices that you can put into your life that give you the ability to tap into that more. Does that make sense? Like it's like I think a lot of people live in a very distracted state. Like they're kind of all over the place. So tapping into their body is very foreign to them. But it gives you this ability to go with your gut and really trust your gut. I think that's the biggest thing. It had to take some work, and you're going to kind of it gets a little clunky at the beginning, but really knowing that you have like this deep intuition that does serve you if you let it. So what are some practices that you've put into your life or that have helped you tap into that trusting of your gut?
well, I think we'll definitely go into floating. I'd love to share some of that. But one of the things that's been one of the newest additions has been drumming.
Oh, I love that.
So one of the shamans that I work with brought me back this like beautiful drum from Mexico.
What kind of drum is it?
I'm not quite sure. It's like maybe like a 12-inch drum, and it's
Okay.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah, yeah. Is it one that you hit with like a
yes, yes,
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a
So I'm
mallet or
I'm new to
yeah.
I'm new to the
I don't know what
instrument.
to be called. I only know what a djembe is, and I was going to drop some knowledge. I know what a djembe is, and I know what a bongo is.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I've never been one to play instruments, and so this has been totally new for me, even getting out of my comfort zone and just trying something new, but in the control or safety of my own house. I've been fucking making music, man. I've been like
Dude, I love it.
putting on whatever. It's been ceremony music and just trying to play with it. Has been amazing. And all of a sudden, I'll just notice that 15, 20, 30 minutes will go by.
Love that.
And at first, I'm nervous. At first, I'm like, is anyone around? Can anyone hear me? Is anyone home? Can my neighbors hear me? And then, after 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then you just tap into the music. And there is no right or wrong, you'll feel when you're offbeat. You'll feel it in your gut. You'll feel it in the vibrations of your hand. You'll feel it in the vibrations of the sound of the drum of the music. And you don't even have to be a musician. But when you tap into that same rhythm, there's something healing about that. And so I think going with your gut, you mentioned a large part of that is being connected, or if you're not disconnected.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I found just through the expression of music and through drumming, as little as I've done it lately in the past maybe 3 or 4 months, it's like the connection with the music, the connection with the drum, going barefoot, walking around the house as I'm drumming, just being in a free open space. Anything that brings a deeper level of connection, whether it's through physical expression or through journaling, something else. For me right now, it's been through just some light drumming, has been amazing. And then let's say you have a journaling practice that helps. If you go into a journaling practice after maybe you've done maybe 15, 20 minutes of drumming,
Yeah.
like how much more tapped in are you? How much more connected are you? How much more are you going to be able to express yourself thoughtfully, articulately, and really to the root of what you're trying to do, because you're not so up in your head.
Yeah.
You're in your body. So drumming has been one for sure.
Oh man, dude, drumming's a fun one because there's a reason that there's so many percussion instruments in so many different cultures for so many years. It's like there's something to it, and that's the ceremonial piece. Is that like that vibration you get from drumming is it's different, right? Like different drums will have different things. Like if you're using like a bigger, like almost like a flat drum, like it's very deep. It's like a deeper sounding, right? Versus like a djembe that has a little bit more of a pop to it. Or then like a friend of ours, Aubrey Marcus, has like this big. He has one at his Sedona house and one here in Austin, and it's like a big coffee table size drum.
Oh, wow.
And you can get 10 people on it, right? And that's a whole different experience. But dude, drumming, drumming is something, especially when you use your hands. I love using my hands with it. It's like this very strong, like if the vibration comes like through your hands, and you have the sound, obviously, but like the vibration of the actual leather, like the drum, back into your hand, is that feedback is so cool. And you can tell when you do it when you're in rhythm. You said you don't have to really know what's going on, but you're in rhythm with something. You're just doing it. And it's funny you say that. The time I did Vilca in Peru, I was drumming on my chest, and during my experience, the whole time almost, and like chanting and shit. But it was like funny. I just needed that like resound. I needed that stimulus. It was a part of this trip that I was on.
Wow.
It was so wild.
Have you drummed in a collective like drum, in one of those large drums? Have you been around that, or
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just here. I mean, just for fun. But we'll go like
That would be
10 minutes.
amazing.
It's so fun.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, we got to
Wow.
try that out. I'll have to get out there and get on the big drum. Yeah. But so drumming and music and sound are so beautiful, and that's finding one that really it's almost like fitness in a way where there's so many different flavors of that form of expression, but you got to play with it a little bit and find which one works for you. And I mean, I'm totally with you on drumming though. I think it's great. So and float tanks have been a big part for you as well. You're saying you did a 4-hour float the other day off air.
Yes.
4 hours, dude.
4 hours. I've done an overnight float before. I've done which would that honestly that wasn't the most enjoyable experience. That was actually challenging because it felt like you were in a solitary confinement.
Yeah, that would freak me the fuck out.
Yeah.
So explain. I mean, a lot of people know what float tanks are, but let's give them a quick rundown of like what a float tank is.
So there's many different, let's say, constructions of float tanks out there, but essentially it's some type of pod, usually, or a walk-in tank that you step into, and usually there's 8 to 10 inches of water. And the water, there's usually about 1,000 pounds of dissolved Epsom salts in this tank. Now, the whole idea behind float tanks, at least to my understanding, is that it's a sensory deprivation environment. So the water is the same temperature as your skin. So essentially, if you're relaxed enough in there, you can lose the feeling that you and the tank are something separate.
Yeah.
So the water is the same temperature as your skin. There's about 1,000 pounds of dissolved Epsom salt, so you're completely buoyant.
Yeah.
Even the heaviest
Which is
person,
the weirdest feeling.
you'll be completely.
It's such a weird feeling to float.
It's like the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're completely floating. So you're essentially in as close as possible to as much as we can, like a zero gravity state, or just you're removing the stresses of gravity. It's completely dark. You also have earplugs in. And if the float center that you're at is truly like a soundproof facility like it should be, I mean, you don't hear anything. Now, some float places, I think what's worked really well in the beginning is going silent floating with no sound whatsoever, and I think that's really cool, and I'll do that from time to time. But one of the things that's been so cool is I feel super blessed at home. We have a great float place. When you come up, or whenever you come up, I'm going to take you. It's called Balance Float.
Okay.
And there's 5 float tanks, all these like really, really clean pods. Everything in the facility is all the water's filtered. There's private showers in each room, so it's really a private.
Yeah, that's how zero gravity here in Austin is very similar to that.
Okay.
Nice shower. It's very top end facility. It's beautiful.
Okay, I've been to some sketchy ones.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I've been to some where you're like the showers at the other end of the hall, and you have to walk down with your towel, and there's a rug on the floor, but it's all salt crusted and like not the best experience.
No, ours it's like there's like overhead shower faucets, and you're like, it's like a walk-in shower in each room. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Zero gravity in Austin. If you're ever in Austin, you got to go. It's such a beautiful experience. And the big walk-in ones too, like it's like the size of a bathroom, like the actual tank is. So you can just flail out. Like I can't touch into the tank if I go all the way out.
That's awesome.
So reach out. It's fun. Yeah, it's a really great spot. Anyways,
so usually I would start silent, but also at this float center, I'm sure it sounds like your float center would definitely have this as well. Like you can plug in audio music as well, and so I'll usually listen to binaural beats, and or lately, just recently, they've put ceremony music in the tank. And so it's actually been an incredible space, one, to process what I'm going through, to use as a meditation practice, but also to honestly like relive parts of the ceremony, because sometimes the music will be the exact same. And so I'll be like, all of a sudden a vision will come in and it'll hit me. I'm like, wow, I either totally forgot that, or now I understand that, or So that type of space, and by the end of it, like I'm thinking right now of the binaural beats. So in the binaural beats that we'll use in the tank, it'll start from first chakra all the way up,
Mhm.
and by the end, it's just like this high pitch ringing, and the water's vibrating, so your hands are vibrating, your body's vibrating, and at the end, you're just like, what is this? Like, what
Dude,
am I right now?
that's so incredible. I love that. Yeah, the float tanks are something that I don't use it. It's one of those things I don't use enough, but it's right. It's like right there at my disposal, and I fucking every time I go in there, I'm like, yes, that was so awesome. And I've only done an hour and a half. Most I've ever done is an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I usually won't do just an hour. I like an hour and a half, because like you get to past the point where like if I've been in here for 25 minutes or like an hour and a half, you don't know. But an hour you can kind of track a little bit better. But 4, man, I would do that. I would jump in there for 4 for sure.
You would love it.
So in the ceremony music you're talking about, are those Icaros from like an ayahuasca ceremony?
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, those are fun because like Icaros have that resignation where you're like a resonation where you can tap back into your visions with them, and that's really really interesting. Like people don't, if you haven't done ayahuasca, like there's beautiful music played with traditional instruments during a ceremony, and if you listen to that ceremony music after your ceremony, like in some other setting, like in a meditative setting or something like that, you can almost tap back into your visions and that whole experience and that whole feeling. It's very cathartic. It's really really interesting.
Yeah, and I think too, I couldn't agree more. And like with the even with the drumming, like sometimes I'll play the Icaros, and like, I mean, I haven't had nearly like an ayahuasca experience just at home playing
Yeah,
the drum, but
that'd be cool.
it's pretty amazing. Like, I mean, even if you just in the tank, if you just listen to some of that music, the depth that you can go into if you can get quiet enough. And I think in the beginning when people float, like an hour is usually the classic floating time, and
Yeah.
anyone can hop out earlier. I encourage anyone to check it out. But for me, like a lot of times the longer floats, it's almost like exponential
Yeah.
the effect that you can get. So I totally agree. Like hour and a half is like prime time,
Yeah.
and then every now and then you want to
I just
challenge
don't think they'll let you book it for more than 2 hours. I think
logistically.
I'll do a 2 hour. And they're like, no, dude, you can't be here for that long. Please leave. No, it's okay. I think I'm gonna do a 2 hour one. No, and I think the thing is, would you want to get past the point where you quit giving a fuck how long you've been in there?
Hmm.
Like it's not even your brain's gonna keep like wanting to keep a schedule, right? Like wanting to stay on time, or what's happening after this, or what I have to do. And it's like you just want to get to a point. I think scheduling enough time to do it is really important. And then two, just like you get to a point where like, well, I don't know I don't know how long I've been in here, so I'm just gonna be. And then it's like, oh, well, now I can actually get somewhere, because that emotional and mental energy is then it's now available for me
Sure,
to
and
use.
and and maybe book it for 2 hours. But if the longest you've ever gone is 1 hour, challenge yourself.
Yeah,
Holy shit, challenge yourself. Book it for 2 hours and just let yourself know, like, I'm gonna get out when I feel ready.
yeah,
I'm not gonna get out too soon, or I'm gonna challenge myself tonight. And I'm gonna stay to the end. Maybe
yeah,
one night you stay to the end, and maybe one night you get out when you feel you're ready and
yeah.
see what happens. You may the times that I've told that to myself, like 2 hours in the tank, I'm like, and I was just doing hour-long floats. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get out when I feel ready, and it was like an hour and 57 minutes, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like
Damn,
that was right
I
there.
was ready. Yeah, dude. So I mean, the float tanks are great, and drumming also incredibly powerful. And we got to go this direction with it. We got to go this direction towards the end. Everybody loves listening to people talk about psychedelics, right? And I think one thing that happens when we talk about the plants and we talk about psychedelics is that it gets super fucking woo woo and extremely esoteric. And I'm all about calling ayahuasca like the mother, right? Like me and my mom hung out the other day, right? And that's, people will say that, and that's cool in certain circles. But I think when we have someone like you and myself, where I really, really enjoy making this stuff like palatable for a lot of people and help people understand, okay, what's really going on here. Let's put the woo aside for a hot second. And I really want to talk about what you've taken away from some of these plant experiences. So I know we've talked about mushrooms a little bit last time. You and I are both big fans of a really safe and professional ayahuasca environment. Let's put the caveat in there,
100,
like,
yes, please.
don't be responsibly sourced and vetted. Ayahuasca experiences are very powerful, and I want to talk about like what's the big shifts that you've seen in yourself as in the way you bring yourself to the world based upon your experiences with these plants.
Well, I think in the most, I'll just share. some personal stuff from the most recent experience, which for me is still something I'm connected with,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And it was I've done a few journeys with ayahuasca, and the most recent, actually, I was fortunate enough to have my brother do his first ceremony with me, and that was incredible. Like that is still what I'm stuck on right now. Like doing it with a family member who's, you know, we were in the ceremony room laying side by side, and man, you want to talk about, well, woo woo, but feeling connected to what's
Yeah.
around you. Like I have never felt so connected to my brother in terms of like, let's say, even if one of us, had a purge going on, like him purging and me feeling a release in my gut and vice versa,
Wow,
which was
dude.
like, I know it sounds crazy, but like
Yeah.
that was that was my genuine experience. And in that moment, like you want to talk about things are connected, like talk about, being so close and feeling the energy field of what's around you from those who you love the most. And so, and just how much love I have for my brother and how close we are and how fortunate I feel to have a brother that would even be willing to do something like this
Yeah.
and to be curious enough to do something like this. And so I was honestly probably more, I don't even know, but I was probably more scared for him than he was scared
Yeah, right?
because you don't know what's going to happen.
When you're the one that you introduced him to it
You
too.
introduce it, it's on me. But, in a safe setting, in a guided setting, in a sacred setting, it can be really beautiful. And so I really do have a lot of trust and faith in the shaman that we work with. And man, it was so special. So for me, the biggest takeaway that I'm taking is just how close of how blessed I feel to have a brother, how blessed I feel to have had that and shared that experience with my brother, with just a family member. Um, and the underlying factor is that we're all connected. And so when I go out and teach classes, when I go out and teach
Mm,
workshops, it's really, you had mentioned like, when you express yourself out in the world, we express ourselves, one for ourselves, one for other people as well, and then one so we can all. So it's the I, the we, the all, as my good buddy Paul Chek says, and um, yeah, that we're all connected. So anything that you do for you, you do for other people. And so, for example, again, when I felt that release when my brother purged, I was like, wow. I don't know if he did that for me or vice versa, but whatever happened, we both felt it in that moment. We
it
both
doesn't really matter who did it for
It
who.
doesn't matter.
It just
Um,
happened.
and so when you go out there, you share your light with the world. It really, as long as you're being you and you're doing that, it almost it does. As long as you're on your life path, as however that looks for you, then you're doing amazing things for the world, and you're allowing people the permission to be them because you're all connected. And we've had that brief discussion last time we were on the podcast. So this idea of connection, much more than just words. Like you can't really, it's hard to say, right? It's a felt experience, and I think that's the difference between something very heady and then something that's truly something you walk away with a felt experience. And
Yeah.
so having the environment of the tank has been an incredible space to reflect on that, to even feel those same feelings again. And I'm just like, these are the reminders. And so these are the reminders that remind me that we are connected. And so when life gets super busy, when I'm super stressed, when I'm work, when I'm hustling out there trying to make stuff happen, building your brand, whatever that means, just remember that, every person that you talk to, everyone is an extension of yourself. And so whatever you do for yourself, you do for others. That's been the biggest message that I've seen reflected and expressed in everything that I'm doing.
Damn, dude, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think when you can take a step and that step outside yourself and just see it, when you can see it, it makes it so much less conceptual. That's one thing that I loved about ayahuasca in particular is that I didn't have to make believe. I didn't have to like use
Mm,
my imagination to see what it was like to be connected to literally everything. And this really came more with Wachuma in Peru when I was in the jungle and looked up in the canopy and just see all the trees, like waves between all the trees communicating with each other, and then feeling like I was very Avatar-esque, like I was plugged into this entire jungle. And I'm like, oh, so now I don't have to conceptualize that anymore. Like I saw it. I get it. And I've seen people glow. I've seen people's aura. I've seen people's like, and it's like, this is woo, right? I'm telling you this, but I'm telling you this is like, well, that's what I saw. And now I kind of feel what that is. And I've experienced it. And I've seen complete, total darkness. Like and they fought darkness for 2 hours in an ayahuasca ceremony. And then my dad, like came out of nowhere in this vision and we hugged and the darkness just went away
oh,
like
wow.
shit like that. And it's like, okay, well, was that my imagination? Maybe, but it was also extremely fucking powerful for me. And I can take this this understanding from that, from stepping outside of myself for a little while and be like, okay, I understand that one, ayahuasca's told me not to take life too seriously. And that's become a big part of my message. It's funny you think that, right? But it's like I've got the caveat that I can like make jokes about ayahuasca now. She gave me permission. And then it's like, no, living an authentic and compassionate life is very important to me. And that's my own thing, right? That's what I love bringing to the world. And what the world gives me back when I do that, when I can find a way to do that, which becomes challenging, like we were talking about earlier, is so beautiful and so fun. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else that doesn't embody those characteristics, like those values that I have about how to live life. And it's just been such a fun experience. And that's why I'm really grateful that you came on and shared that. And such a fun guy to have on, dude. I really appreciate this. I know we've got to get back up to Paleo FX and do the work, but where can everybody find you, man? Let's let the people know where your branding is.
Yeah, so my branding is on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, and it's at mike.salemi, Salemi. That's where I'm most active, and I got some really cool online content coming, more on the strength and conditioning side in a few months. So if you're interested in kettlebells, Bulgarian bags, you name it, please check me out, as well as my perspective on what balance means. And as me and Connor discussed earlier, the strong man is the vulnerable man. The strong and powerful man is the vulnerable man. So if you'd like, please follow me. And thank you so much, buddy. This has been great.
Dude, this has been so great. You're such a great mover and such a great worker, man. I love the way you approach life. So thanks so much, man. We'll talk to you next time. Well, guys, fuck. That's it. That's Mike. That's Mike coming and showing up and being a badass dude. I will literally podcast with this guy anytime I get a chance. Such an awesome guy, and I cannot wait to head up and I'm gonna go up to NorCal and see him as soon as I get a chance, and maybe drop in with the mother. Thanks for being a part of the show, guys. Thanks for hanging out to the very end. I have the data that says that most people listen to about 80% of the shows, 80% all the way through. So if you're listening to my voice right now, you are in the I don't know, in the top 20% of people that listen to this show that go all the way to the end, and for that I am eternally grateful. We have an awesome time with this, guys, and if you really like what Mike is about, find him on social media and give him some love. Also, if you want to give me some love and the show some love, again, iTunes and 5-star review and some kind words or some witty banter, or just drop your Instagram handle in there and I'll give you a shout out. Really, whatever you want to do to put some words in there to let us know what you're about. That's all. I mean, something. Don't be stupid. Don't put anything like don't make dick jokes. I mean, well, you can make dick. You know what? Just do whatever you feel is best. Do whatever you feel is best, and it'll be fine. Oh, onit.com/real. We got the Realness community on Facebook. There's all kinds of great stuff, guys. I mean, technology has just changed the game. I need to get somebody on here to talk about how dope technology is and also how fucking terrifying it is. And if you aren't watching Westworld, damn, you're missing out. You're missing out because that shit is wild. Anyways, I'm going on a rant. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Again, go find Mike. Let him know what's up. Let him know you love him. Send him some heart emojis or some shit in the DMs. He's an awesome guy. And we will see y'all next time. Thanks for hanging out. Peace and love.